Am I the asshole for admitting I got married for money and ruining my cousin's idea of love? When I was in my second year of university, I found out I was pregnant with my current husband's baby. We weren't officially dating at the time because my husband was a pretty arrogant playboy back then who only did casual. After the initial shock and discussions on if I would keep the baby, my husband and his family were very insistent we got married since they're strong believers in a two-parent household and also because my Phil is a semi-public businessman and he thought this would reflect badly on him. I said no initially for obvious reasons, but I eventually agreed to it when my Phil offered to pay off all of my student debt and make sure I could finish my degree after I had the baby. He offered me a lot of other financial incentives and we have a prenup which will make sure I'll be okay if our marriage doesn't work out. Honestly, I had little hope. My husband actually changed a lot after we got married and after our daughter was born, so we've been very happily married ever since. Not many people know the real reason I got married so quickly in my family. Everyone thinks we were just really loved up and moved fast. My younger cousin is 18 and she wants to drop out of university to marry her boyfriend of 2 years. Her parents are against this, but she keeps using me as an example of why it's a good idea. I heard this from my mum initially and I wasn't going to get involved since we aren't that close, but it came up during a family Zoom party and I said, actually, I got married for money, when she was talking about how my husband and I's love made things work out for us and it would be the same for them. I received mixed reactions from my family. My cousin is devastated and said I ruined her idea of love and being in a relationship was pointless now. One of my uncles took it incredibly personally and said I was a gold digger and he felt awful for my husband and how he doesn't know where my mum went wrong with me. For context, my mum was a single mother and seeing her struggle was part of the reason I agreed to getting married. A few of my other relatives said that that's something you should keep to yourself because it's disrespectful to my husband and our marriage. My cousin's mom is really happy with me though. What do you guys think? Am I the asshole?
Info: where is this school with rich playboys that pay you to marry them after they knock you up? Not the asshole. You told the truth, and it was what she needed to hear. Marrying for financial security isn't weird, it's sensible, and you did what was right for you and your child. I'm just glad it seems to have all worked out for the best for you.
Not the asshole, but the way you approached it isn't great. You were young, pregnant, and very limited on options. You chose well, and I would have done exactly the same in your shoes. It sounds like it's worked out well and you have a solid marriage, which is wonderful. The way you phrased it on the Zoom sounds very different though. You need to call your cousin and explain exactly what you meant and how everything came about. Love grows, and the idea of love is never pointless. It's also very much worth pointing out that there was enough financial support around when you guys got married to help the relationship survive. Money is one of the biggest stressor in life, and being young, broke, and married is a damn sight more stressful than being young, secure, and married, baby or not. You are definitely not the asshole. You are not a good digger. It was effectively like an arranged marriage, and they offered you a dowry as an incentive. You were realistic and your cousin needs to learn the truth about fairy tale romances and happy ever after before she threw her life away.
You really saved your cousin of possibly growing up thinking there was something wrong with her if her early marriage didn't reflect what yours looked like in the beginning. No other opinion matters here because you went into this with your eyes wide open, and your cousin should too. You weren't really a gold digger, by the way. You were a degree digger. Which is another way to look at grants and scholarships. Lol. Not the asshole. Nah. But if all you said was, actually I got married for money, without the context of the whole story you told here, it could be misleading. There is an actual love story about how your husband grew up and changed, and I'm sure you did too, and it evolved into something bigger than just money. You're very happily married, right? I think with some more tact and context you could have gotten your point across without getting into this mess.
Info: does your husband know about the money deals you made with his family? Info: how does your husband feel about this being common knowledge?
Nah, because it's your personal truth, but you shouldn't be surprised by people's reactions as that's not what most consider a valid reason to hitch yourself to someone for life. You're not responsible for your cousin's overall impressions of what a relationship is. Edit. Nah.
Not the asshole, this is actually pretty funny. Like a dark rom-com.
I've read this romance novel.
Not the asshole. Not only are you completely in your right to correct people who miscategorize your life experience, I personally think it is the duty of every decent human to talk dumb teenagers out of the dumb idea of dropping out of college to get married. Your cousin especially needed to hear that. Most 18-year-olds have no clue how the world works. But if they really love each other, it will be much easier to make it work when they are adults with careers. Your uncle specifically owes you a huge apology. But I bet he never apologizes to anyone about anything.
My cousin is devastated and said I ruined her idea of love and being in a relationship was pointless now. Well, gee, I guess she has no mind of her own and doesn't really care about her boyfriend, so he's better off. Anyway, not the asshole, if you told the truth. Her problem is that she wants to use her fantasy of you to justify her own behavior.
You could say to the rest of the family that the only reason you agreed to get married so quickly is because you had financial stability assured, but you wanted to knock some sense into your cousin.
Not the asshole. You and your husband might be good now, but you married for ulterior motives. Plus you didn't drop out of college like your cousin plans on doing. One of the incentives was to allow you to finish your degree. It was bold to tell your cousin over Zoom instead of talking to her privately, but you do you. Ultimately, you were just being honest, and if that's what it took to convince your cousin to not drop out of college and rush into marriage, then so be it. She kept using you as an example, and when done in front of you, you gave the truth. Not the asshole. I also disagree with the rude to husband part. He literally offered it and you both knew what was happening. It just happened to work out. Info. Why didn't you have this conversation privately? I mean, you knew your cousin's situation and talking to her one-on-one about the reality of yours would have given her the reality check she needed without hurting her feelings or embarrassing her. Once you decided to get involved, I can't see why you wouldn't do so privately. Not the asshole. How is explaining your situation mess up someone else's views? Like you said, all that happened and you are happily married now. That is all that matters. Sounds immature to no longer want to be married when you find out about the truth of a marriage you romanticized.
A question: does your husband know all about this? That you marry because of money, initially, and all set if things don't work out later by his father, Phil. Not the asshole for being honest. You make really sure for this cousin that if things doesn't work out for her, you're not the one at fault.
Not the asshole. If it counts as gold digging, then you're a gold digger with the consent of all parties, so what's the problem? Does anyone think the rich 90-year-old men marrying 22-year-olds don't know it's about the cash?
Not the asshole. It was just the truth, and it sounds like it worked out for you and your husband in the end. People that young can make a marriage work, my parents included, but it's different for everybody.
Not the asshole. You didn't drop out of college to get married, you married to stay in college. Marriage isn't a full-time job. She shouldn't want to drop out to get married.
Not the asshole and not a gold digger. Your cousin is way too immature if you telling the truth ruins her honestly stupid expectations, lol. She can get married and work on keeping a healthy relationship, and hopefully she will be happy with her partner. But that would not be because of your marriage.
Nope. Nah, you told her the truth to stop her doing something stupid. People can judge all they like. Not their life, not their business.
Nah, I mean, you can be as honest as you'd like, so I don't really think you're an asshole, but for the life of me I have no idea why you would say something like that in mixed company. TACKY.
Not the asshole. You probably saved her from ruining her future. 18 is about time you learn love isn't everything, so you don't become Romeo and Juliet. Not the asshole. This is your truth and you wanted to give your cousin a reality check. Though your husband might be hurt if he finds out.
Marriage is a legal contract. You're doing it wrong if you think love is the only reason to marry. Love is a reason to cohabit, date, partner and make choices together. But legally binding yourself to another adult for years, even if you try to divorce in the first year, you still got time before it's final, should come with a reason to legally contract yourself to them. Protecting financial assets is the biggest reason besides a deeply held spiritual reason or pressure from family. Not the asshole. She needed to know the truth.
Why would she assume all relationships are like yours? Plenty marry for love alone. Otherwise poor suckers like me would never stand a chance. I don't see why she's wanting to drop out of school though. Why can't she be a student and a wife? Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. OP's story is very similar to many Asian arranged marriages in which the couple falls in love after their marriage. Just because this practice is uncommon in Western society doesn't mean that it's wrong. As long as your child is raised in a happy home and you are in a happy marriage, do what you think is right.
Not the asshole. Better to rip that band-aid off now.
Not the asshole. You told the truth. Not your fault they didn't like it.
Not the asshole. She's young and in love, and it seems she looks up to you as an example. It may hurt her now, but in the long run it'll be good for her to have that honesty. She's immature and probably naive, and still trying to figure out life. Hopefully she learns that, no matter what, marriage is an important decision to make. If she's truly in love with her partner, and vice versa, then her decision hopefully won't change after her revelation about her romance role model, you.
What in the Wattpad story, episode book is this? Not the asshole.
NTA. She would have blamed you for allowing her to walk down the aisle under different pretense. Good you cleared the air now.
Not the asshole. The little girl got a hard look at reality and now she's upset. She's got the rest of her life to get used to reality smacking you in the head. It happens to us all and we are usually better for it. And at least she won't be dropping out of school to chase a false fairy tale. Not the asshole. You were being honest so that she makes the best decision, not based on her FALSR assumptions. But I hope your husband already knows the reason you agreed to get married. If not, he will pretty soon. Not the asshole. Might I give you a quote? It's better to cry in a BMW than on a bicycle. Yes. Money can't buy happiness, but from your experience it sure as heck makes your life easier. And as you stated, you must be happy enough with this guy if you're still together. You could point out all the times young relationships fail to your cousin.
I married for immigration. And like you, there's a whole story there. See, my husband's home country is circling the drain and I love the guy to pieces. However, I went through the ringer with my ex and wasn't sure I wanted to marry again. The only way to be with hubby was to put a ring on it, so I did, following every legal rule. Green card is now secured and naturalization underway. Almost 5 years and a kid later, life is beautiful. Everyone has a story and every story is complicated. That's why love is an adventure. Not the asshole. NTA. People really need history lessons on why marriages occur. 'Cause love sure as fuck was never a main reason until recent eras. Money, though, has always been a reason for marriage. Sounds like you saved your cousin from a mistake, since apparently your relationship was the basis for hers. And IDK why your uncle is so butthurt. Reading this Meatloaf's 2 are of 3 ain't bad started playing in my head. Hope you and your husband has a loving relationship now. And also not the asshole. She was idolizing and romanticizing something she did not fully know the facts about, and she needed to hear the truth, even if it could have been said in a more private setting. Also, if her view of love shatters because of learning a marriage did not start the way she thought, she is probably not mature enough to get married.
Not the asshole. Your husband knows what's up and the two of you are good. The opinions on your origin story are as useful as tits on a bull.
Well, to be fair, this isn't the most beautiful reason to get married. But you both people getting married, knew what was going on and eventually you learned how to love each other. Anyways, you were honest with the only person counting besides you and actually had some good motivations, even me not being able to marry for the same reasons, but you know, never say never. To your family, you're obviously not the asshole. You probably saved your cousin's future by opening up. She's being a little overdramatic, TBH. So I guess she is too young to marry and take this kind of responsibility. Your uncle, this nice soul. Well, he's a DCK.
Not the asshole. It's disrespectful to my husband and our marriage. Your husband knows this is why. It would only be disrespectful if he didn't. They're strong believers in a 2-parent household. Good on them, they are 100% right. As long as it's a healthy environment, it will always be better. Worked out well for you and your husband, and you protected you and your child in the event it didn't. Being honest with your cousin saved her from making a mistake. Not sure why they are angry with you, seeing as how all those same family members were telling her not to.
Well, maybe you could have done it a bit differently. Perhaps you should have called her after the Zoom and talked to her and told her the truth, but that water is under the bridge now. Maybe give her a call anyway and fill her in on how things have changed. Don't worry about the rest of the family. Not the asshole. At least the cousin's mom is happy. And the cousin gets a serious wake-up call. Sorry if you get any heat from your family. But I think this is for the better.
I'm going against the grain with a very mild "you're the asshole," only because it doesn't sound like it was the right time and place to break that news. Your story is your story, and it's actually a good lesson that a lot of successful relationships don't have a traditional, true love start, but yeah, perhaps a quiet word to your cousin one-on-one might have worked better.
Not the asshole. If you saying that was enough for your cousin to question her belief in love, then she definitely is not ready for marriage. She was living in La La Land in her head about love and marriage, and I think that you did her a service in bringing her back down to earth.
You didn't ruin your cousin's concept of love. That sounds real dramatic. She'll probably realize in time your story is still golden. Two young people in a hard situation pushed together end up falling in love. I think that's cute as fuck. You guys grew to love each other. You framed it in a way that didn't explain the total of the situation, but you have time to explain in the future. You told the truth, maybe a little brashly, but it's the truth. If your husband says anything about it, though, you might now to have a conversation about it, but that's up to you guys, and I hope he thinks it was a good move. Honesty is the best policy, and all that. Good luck. Not the asshole. My brother loves his wife. They were dating for over 10 years and neither of them really wanted to get married. They both are from different countries. They ended up getting married for visa purposes. So there is that.